Welcome to episode 88 of Broad Street Hustle. I'm your host, Tommy Nanny, bringing you the last show of the NFL regular season. So, with the last show of the NFL regular season, what are we going to talk about? Well, of course, the NBA. It would only make sense. So, not much NBA talk, but we are going to do our NBA draft. So, we do it for all leagues. Jason won the baseball one with the Texas Rangers. We have a football one that we were just looking at before the show, and I have officially no teams, I think, that will make the playoffs. So I will not be winning that one as well. As I mentioned, I got Jason Sayeta with me.
What's up, Tom? I guess you're going to be buying two dinners.
Unless Pittsburgh Steelers can miraculously pull one out with Mason Rudolph. Jimmy the Chalk.
I mean, good thing you picked ahead of me, or else I'd be stuck with the Bengals, but...
Yeah, well, I had the Bengals and Jets, so I don't have two starting quarterbacks that go down. And Christopher Michael Meeker.
So, guys, Eric Lindros episode, I guess, right? 88?
Yeah,
yes,
I should put the jersey on.
We need the Lindros
still shot.
Yeah.
All right, well, like I said, NBA talk, NBA draft. We're quickly brush on the Eagles mess leading into the playoffs. Maybe we'll discuss a little of that, some playoff scenarios. Finish with a couple awards that we might think still have possibilities, and then we'll go into our picks. We'll recap in our picks. Probably be a quick show, nothing crazy tonight, as we finish the regular season of the NFL and get ready for the playoffs. All right, before we get in the NBA draft, just quickly, we haven't really talked much. Jason, what are you thinking about the Sixers? I know we talked maybe a month ago, a couple weeks ago, we were high on them. Nothing should have changed your mind, right?
No, I mean, I think Embiid is having an historic season. I mean, you can't deny that he's the MVP right now. I mean, he's
doing all his work in three quarters. Yeah.
He averages more points than minutes, and his assists. I mean, he's averaging over 6 assists a game. He's averaging 12 rebounds a game, 34 points a game. Like it's insane. So. And then Maxi's the perfect number 2 scorer. I'd prefer that I wish they would have got Anunoby. The Knicks made that trade for Anunoby. I wish the Sixers would have got him, but I still think the Sixers are going to land somebody, whether it's Caruso or, I don't know if it'll be Siakam, but maybe. Who knows? But I'm still high on the Sixers. I definitely am. I definitely see them getting out of the second round this year. Minimum.
Yeah, Chalky, how about you?
I'm still the same, I guess, as last time we talked, because one of my New Year's predictions was they weren't going to get anybody like an Obi or better. So that Knicks took that off the table, but he was.
Yeah, but wasn't it you, or did I read it? Couldn't they not make a deal anyway, the Sixers, until January because of the guys they got in the draft or in the other trade?
That's possible. I mean, I think some of those guys couldn't be moved before January. Yeah,
right.
Sure.
So that's probably why the Knicks did the deal before January.
The Sixers weren't matching that offer.
No, they didn't have a play.
They gave up a lot. I wouldn't have. I mean, the Knicks weren't a team I would have thought of for an OB, and I wouldn't have thought that Toronto would have moved him this soon either. So, but the team and the timing caught me off guard, at least the very. But I think Morey will be patient, and I think their best fit might be somebody that's not in the rumor mill yet if they're going to pick somebody up. Because if you want Caruso, you might take Levine on, which means Harris goes out. And the Sixers beat writers keep saying that their sources, the Sixers, are telling them they have no interest in Siakam or Levine. So I know Siakam got mentioned by a couple national writers. They're saying the Sixers don't have the interest. And the way he's been struggling from beyond the arc, I don't know that he's the fit you need as your third scorer if he wants to be the third scorer. So hopefully they can stay healthy for a little bit, because this will be the first time Embiid's back, and they'll have everybody for hopefully a stretch. And they got some good opponents coming up, but you can't really complain so far. I mean, I think it could be relatively wide open, aside from maybe Boston at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah, how about you, Maker?
Yeah, I'm impressed. I mean, their offense is just, so much more crisp, a lot of ball movement, without the whole situation with Harden. And they're deep, and they're getting contributions from the bench. I mean, the other night, I think, was it Morris? came up with a couple of big threes towards the end of that game that they won the other night without Embiid. So they're getting contributions from all over the place, which is great to see. And I do believe they will make a move at some point. I think the thing right now, and this was a pretty early in the season for that move to be made to get, for the Knicks. I'm sorry, his name was just out of my
OG.
head for a second.
OG.
Oh yeah. So anyway, but there's plenty of time for that. I think they'll make a move. Again, I've said from the beginning, I think they need more of a spot up shooter, someone they can bring off the bench. Doesn't necessarily have to be a starter, to help them offensively for the playoffs. And I think they'll get there. But I think the problem right now with making a move is there's just too many teams that are, in the mix right now because of how many teams that make the playoffs in this NBA and that tournament that they have, going down to the 10th seed team. So I don't think teams are itching to make a move right away, but sooner or later it'll kind of work itself out and they'll get somebody before the playoffs start. But I'm impressed with how they've played.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, let's jump into the draft. So off camera, we did do the order, and I can promise you, Chalky, this will be the one and only time you won't be going first in one of the things that we do here. So the order was Meeker, Jason, Chalky, and myself. So I say jump right into it. Meeker, kick us off with the first pick of the 2024 Broad Street Hustle NBA Draft.
Well, I guess I'm just going to stick with the team I thought would win the championship from the beginning of the year, and that's Milwaukee. So I'm going to take Milwaukee as my number one.
Okay, Jason.
Meeker, you make a bad pick, and now you're going to screw up my pick.
Bad pick.
Now I got to pick the team that you should have picked. So I got to pick Boston. I mean, I just have to. I didn't plan on it, but sometimes things fall into your lap, and you just got to do it.
All right.
That is the team that should have been picked first.
Chalky.
Nope.
I will go with the defending champions, the Denver Nuggets.
Well, I got to do it. I'll take the Sixers.
That's what I was going to take. I was going to take
So
the Sixers.
at least if I don't win another draft, I'll lose with the Philly team. And then I'm going to come back and take OKC.
I wanted to be ahead of Jason on the way back because I was going to take OKC. But, oh, Lord, what other teams are there in the league? I'm going to take...
26 more of them.
I'm going to take the Clippers.
Yeah. I mean, I got to take Minnesota. I was going to take OKC. I wanted OKC and the Sixers, so Meeker screwed up my Sixers. But hey, listen, I have the Celtics. That's fine.
Back to you, Meeker.
I'm going to bank on the Lakers figuring it out. I'm going to take the Lakers next.
I have them rated like almost last. In my
I just
board.
feel like they'll figure it out at some point. I mean, they're always starting the year this way, but they figure it out like right around the playoff time.
Okay.
Phoenix is my next pick.
Yeah.
Finally made a good pick. Jeez. Now you got total garbage left. Well,
Not really.
no, you do.
Yeah.
These teams aren't winning. Man, they're not winning. All right, so I know these guys are rated low, but listen, they're two of the best players in their prime of all time. If they add a third player to it, I got to take Dallas there. Not crazy about it, but there's nobody left.
Yeah, and at this point, you kind of look for some stars, maybe, right?
Yeah, you got 2 stars.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take another Western Conference team because I have 2 already. So I'll have to take the best left of the East, and that's, at least record-wise, Miami.
Sheesh. God. Give me the Pelicans, New Orleans, and You know what? Give me the Knicks. Maybe Chalky's 2024 New York team winning will come in the NBA.
I'll take a third West team and go Golden State.
All right, I'll take the up-and-coming Magic. That'll be my Arizona Diamondbacks pick.
I'll take Sacramento.
All right. So
was the NFL the only one we did at the beginning of the year, and the other ones we kind of did there? All right, got it.
So Meeker has the Bucks, Lakers, Suns, Kings. I have Celtics, Timberwolves, Mavericks, Magic. Chalky, Denver, Clippers, Heat, Warriors, Tommy, Sixers, OKC, Pelicans, Knicks. I got all kinds of future bets on OKC, man. I really like them.
All right, well, 2024 NBA draft. Let's jump into the NFL. We don't need to preview the Eagles game at the Giants. Everybody, it is what it is. Who knows how long the starters play? But let's do a quick recap of last week's mess. Kind of more of what we've seen in the prior weeks with the defense just can't get off the field, can't stop the run. Doesn't really. Well, they did finally have a turnover. Not getting to the quarterback. You name it. They had it that game. Jason?
Yeah, it started out with O.J. Simpson. James Conner gashing them throughout the first half. And then, they couldn't stop him. Then it turned into they couldn't stop Murray. They couldn't stop anybody. I read that they had the third worst defensive performance of any team in the NFL this year in that game.
Oh, I can't believe it's only. Well, I guess there was a 70-point game and a 60-point game.
Right?
Yeah.
And then
Taking the opponent into consideration when they say that, because they had
I don't know what went into
game
it
against the worst team.
I don't know what went into that, but they were ranked or rated the third worst defensive game of the year. So it's the defense is a total abomination. And what's crazy to me is all the consternation seems to be about the offense, which it hasn't been great, but the defense is the major problem on the team.
I think it's because the talent is on the offense, and that you could look at the defense and see they're voided of real talented players, as much as you have on the offense. But I agree.
And everybody thinks this Howie Roseman's the greatest thing since ice cream. This guy. Like you said, the defensive talent is a disaster. Jordan Davis is a bust. All right,
he's starting to look like he can't play. Yeah, it's weird.
He's a bust. He's out of shape. He's fat. He's getting single blocked and getting eliminated immediately out of the play. All right, so that's your top half of the first round pick. You have no linebackers. Your secondary, your safeties are terrible. What do you have? So
you saw why Shaq Leonard got cut in that last game. He can't play.
He's bringing these guys in, that can't play. He can't play. Who's the other mid-season signing?
Byard, the safety
the other guy.
Been terrible.
He's terrible. So, they're the first team in 35 years to start 10-1 and have at least 5 losses, which I think is apropos because I thought they were a fraud when they were 10-1. So.
One thing I'll say is there's still 11-1 to win the Super Bowl. Do you see that?
I don't get it. I don't get it. But I did say it. That being said, they're going to be the 5th seed, and they're going to get a bad team in the first round. I still don't think they could win, but it's going to be Tampa Bay probably, or
more than likely
New Orleans.
Tampa just has to beat Carolina, so you would think.
Likely Tampa Bay.
They have a chance to win for sure. So.
You're speaking. Go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just gonna say defense. Not that it would matter, but they are getting some players back. It does look like Cunningham, for whatever reason, was kind of a good nucleus on that as a linebacker for that team. Him going out, they've gotten substantially worse. Maddox came back; he did not look good, but now he's back. Slay will be back. They got 5 rookies in the defense right now, but Yeah, for me, the biggest problem is, and one of the reasons why when they were winning ugly, you're still saying, you know what, they're going to and and I think I even said Kansas. It happened with Kansas City. Teams improve, like the younger players get better as the season goes on. The Eagles did. There ain't a single player that got better from week 1 to week 17. Not a single player. I mean, they got worse in many cases. None of the rookies got better. None of the veterans have gotten, kind of got into shape and gotten better. Cox, who's actually having a strong season, you're starting to see him dip off. Carter, which we might talk about later, is completely dropped off the face of the earth. So nobody's getting better.
He only plays half of the game, and he's still getting tired.
And now they're, and it's the chicken and the egg, I guess. But they played like the most defensive snaps since week whatever in the history of the NFL or something like that. Now that's because on third down they never get off the field on third down. But it's all the stuff that it's getting turnovers. They're poor at that. It's stopping teams in the third down. They're poor at that. It's red zone defense. They've been poor at that recently. So all the parts of it, there's no shutdown defenses. Maybe Baltimore right now, but defense has always been, well, in the new NFL is third down stops, key stops in the red zone, and they can't do any of it. And it's now week 17. So why are why do you think they're going to improve at this point? So, to me, they're in a lot of trouble, but like I said, they're still 11-1 to win a Super Bowl, so I was very surprised. Mika, you want to say something?
We were just talking about the draft, and like Nolan Smith has been like what, a ghost.
Now they're like using him as a off the linebacker. It's like they don't know how to use him.
Is it that, or is it that whatever scheme they're running, he apparently doesn't fit into their scheme? I mean, I don't know, because it can't be any worse.
Well, Reddick had some interesting words today about. Because they dropped. It was funny too because I even noticed it. They had him covering like the McBride in one of the plays, and even he got up and like looked lost. And then today he said like, "Oh, I go out there. That's a conversation for another day. I just go out there and run the plays that are called." So who knows? Howie Roseman might be telling them, "Don't make Reddick get sacked, so we don't have to pay him a lot in the offseason." I mean, you never know. But then he said something about Patricia, like we're still trying to adjust to the new scheme. So. I mean, that shows why when you change coordinators halfway through the season, it got players out of line, and that's what they looked in that game. The players were just, out of place. There was runs where they would do like a counter, and there wasn't an eagle on the side of the ball, like the left side of the field where Connors was running until you hit like the safeties. So,
yeah.
Meeker, any more or Chalky?
You want to talk Chalky or?
Sure, I'll be quick. This is the first game, I guess, that you could probably blame the vast majority of the loss on the defense. I mean, the offense wasn't perfect, but they got 3 touchdowns on 6 drives, 9 including the last drive, and the other field goal. So that's 24 points. I mean, you don't have to be a shutdown defense. You just have to not give up 30 points a game to win some games against some of these teams. And the only stop the defense got was the pick 6. And they were and Arizona got down to the red zone at that point. And I think I don't want to say, cut the players slack, but I think the coaching is probably a big part of it. I mean, I think the move to Patricia was partially a revolt on the players' part where they were doing their own kind of thing. Maybe Gannon was better than people what I give him credit for, but they lost a bunch of the position coaches. I know the linebackers coach that went to Arizona as their defensive coordinator is very highly regarded, and he got a lot out of maybe better players, but they weren't top of the line players last year. So all that maybe adds up, and in the end, I think it's just a shame that probably the last few guys left on that Super Bowl team. That might have been their last home game to go out like that, and it was pretty disgraceful and sad. So you would have liked to have seen them end it, if it is the end, for some of those guys on a better note. But it's kind of apropos as the way the second half of the year is gone.
Yeah, Meeker, did you have anything else to add there?
I just don't. I mean, on top of the struggles they've had. I just don't like the body language I'm seeing either. I think, look, Hurts played okay with the time that he had with the ball. Other than that last drive and the play calling was abysmal. But he looks underwhelmed. He looks tired. When his post game pressers seem like you're talking to a corpse. Like the guy is just not.
He's like, for me, he's too cool for school. Like, what is this? Like, he sits on the bench like he's like not interested in even being there. Like,
one thing I will say is, and I heard this from a reliable source, that he kind of plays that tough guy mentality. Like he hobbles on the field. He takes and he was playing through pain, but I've heard that the coaches questioned his toughness, actually. Like, a lot of it is about he wants people to see that he's a tough guy, not that he's actually a tough guy. Whether it's true or not, I don't know.
Well, somebody from the organization leaked something to, I don't know if it was one of the Inquirer reporters, when they were putting about, they're starting to have questions about some of the stuff he's doing. Like, that came from the organization. So somebody on that side is leaking stuff too now, so it doesn't surprise me.
I just don't see life in the team. They look like a defeated team and who can't wait to get the season over with, to be honest with you. And for them to get motivated to play what will likely be a meaningless game in preparation for the biggest game of the year coming up, in the playoffs against a team like the Giants that they should beat. I think it's going to be hard for them to even beat the Giants this week. They're going to be in, playoffs looking more like the Cardinals than they are the Eagles.
Yeah, but I can't see the Giants. I putting a lot of work in and ruining a draft order to beat. That's the other thing.
But then they put Tyrod Taylor, and why not just put DeVito in if you're just going to lose the game?
Yeah. They almost beat the Rams, but
I just think
he's going to put up points on them because they can't stop anybody that can throw a forward pass. So,
yeah, we talked about both of the NFC and the AFC champ from last year being ripe to be picked off early in the playoffs. And I think when you're demoting your defensive coordinator 15 weeks into the season, you're obviously a complete mess. I can go on, but it's not good. I don't know how they just get right in one game and get prepared for the first game of the playoffs. They are lucky, like you said, they're going to play the South champion more than likely. But I can see them losing against whoever they play. They're on the road. They can lose.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to me, this is why, teams with head coaches that aren't the offense, the guy that runs the offense, have seasons that they're up and down. I mean, you look at the Tomlins, who's had some good seasons, but when his offense coordinator is not right, he has a down season. John Harbaugh has seasons that way. Is he John? Whatever the Harbaugh is in the Ravens. Where they don't have the right coordinator. They lose Steichen, they get a new coordinator. When you're not the Shanahans, where you don't run the offense, you're not the McVays, where you can lose a coordinator and it doesn't matter because you're the brains behind it. And that's why defensive coaches in this league, for the most part, don't succeed as head coaches because they're reliant on coordinators who, if they do a good job, are going to get a head coaching job, and now they have to replace them. And you're seeing that. I think you're seeing it with Sirianni. It doesn't mean next year they can't get it back. I just think you see more highs and lows from those types of coaches than you do from the Shanahans, who are more consistent because their offense is always humming. Or even a McDaniels, it's looking like. Or a McVay. I mean, McVay had a down season last year, but so I don't know. What you think? A lot of talk this week was about Sirianni. I don't think there's any chance, but do you see any chance that Sirianni is playing?
No.
They did it to Doug. Now Doug had other issues as well.
No, not yet. Maybe
I don't either. I don't. Yeah, I think you got to see if he can right the ship next year.
I think it'd be tough. You would need a complete player revolt, and I don't know, even with Hurts' new contract, that they would be tied into any one player, that they would choose the player over the coach in this case.
Wow, they've chosen. They don't have loyalty to coaches, in my opinion.
No, not at all. I mean,
7 years or 8, they've replaced coaches quick.
I mean, the thing of those Doug, the Doug last year was bad. They had a lot of injuries, but it was kind of like they were in a worse situation. Like, he had completely lost the team, and he was kind of it was you knew it was time to move on. Now it's still kind of not as certain.
The quarterback situation was a mess too.
Yeah.
When he left.
So I think I don't see the coach being the fall guy here, but stranger things have happened. I didn't expect them to fire Kelly when they did, so this would be
Jim Harbaugh will be available too. He's going to be a hot coaching.
One of my predictions for 24 was close to being Sirianni gets fired and who becomes available. Howie Roseman's idol, Bill Belichick.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, that's his boy, so you never know.
I think they'll have 2 different coordinators again next year, maybe 2, not just defensive.
I can't see how you can keep. I mean, Patricia's going to be your long term. No,
defensive for sure. Yeah. I'm not sold on Johnson being moved. I mean, I think they like Johnson, so.
Well, that's Hurts' boy.
Now that is where the front office will intervene and mess around. Because they did that with Doug. They made, Doug came out and said, we're keeping Groh and somebody else. And then, 2 days later, they fired them both because they basically got the edict from up top. So I could see something like that happening.
The only thing I'll say is it seems like Brian Johnson's kind of, his name has been buzzed around the NFL where
he was a head he was a coordinator.
Like the Grohs and the Welches or whatever their names, nobody really.
When they were 10-1, he was thought to be one of the. He was definitely going to get an interview somewhere. They were saying, but
that would be a unsuccessful team. All right. So, anything else with the Eagles before we shift gears here? I mean, did you want to give a prediction? I don't even know if it's they might take their starters out halfway through the game if Dallas is up big.
It's hard to know. Right, exactly. Do they play a half? Do they play? I mean, my only thing is, if they played a serious game, I still am not convinced that they would win because I think Tyrod Taylor would be able to throw on them. But, again, there's no way of knowing what's going to happen in the game. So
I would imagine they're going to watch the scoreboard and if Dallas is,
I mean, a good bet might be if you really think that they're just better team than the Giants, to bet them in the first half.
Yeah, it would be the first half for sure.
I get, you want to be, and they probably think about their team differently than we do. To me, Dallas could be up 28-0 at the end of the first quarter. These guys got to play and get reps and try to get something right. And to sit them, I mean, if Hurts gets hurt, you're not going to win a playoff game with Mariota probably, but are you going to win them with the way the whole team is played now? You need to try to work something out.
But I just don't. I'm not a believer in so if they connect on a long pass to A.J. Brown next week, that's going to make a difference. I mean, it is what it is at this point. Their defense isn't going to magically be able to be better.
Yeah.
No, but this is the fourth game for the new defensive play caller. I mean, reps have to count at some point. If this was the team if it's been that, if they didn't make these changes in the middle of the season or these struggles, you can't just drop it and say we'll pick it up next week and then figure to be any better. I think, but they may think differently.
All right. What about the rest of the NFL? There's not. I mean, we'll get into our picks and we'll talk about it, but it's a tough week. I mean, I didn't go through it. How many games? 1, 5, 6 games? 6 games that mean something, right? So, I mean, how many games?
Yeah.
Where both teams mean anything, there's only, Texans, Colts, Bills, Miami. That might be it, right?
Both teams?
Vikings, Lions, there's meaning for both teams.
Falcons, Saints.
Yeah, I guess they both could still, all of that, they can make the playoffs, yeah.
There's meanings in a lot of games, but not for both teams playing in the game. Maybe
that's
3 or 4. Yeah, that's about it.
Did you want to? You wanted to bring up the awards, right?
Yeah, you want to jump in there? So I was thinking, some of the awards. Any, I said before the show. Oh yeah, I want to talk about some awards that might show value. What was Meeker's first response, Jason?
MVP.
Yeah, Jim. Oh, I think Lamar's got that wrapped up. Yeah.
You think?
So what about?
Yeah, there's other awards. yards.
What about value? So the one that caught my eye, but I know there's others. So I still think that the comeback play of the year is open. I mean, the odds are saying that Hamlin's not a guarantee. I think he did move to 250 at DraftKings, but Flacco's 175.
I'll tell you why. Because Flacco's not playing this week, so that's another game now. Now, for, you're going to base that award if Flacco gets it off of what, 4 games?
4 games, yeah. But you're basing Hamlin's award off of playing 2 games.
I understand.
But again, I mean, one guy died and one guy just sucked.
Right.
But the only reason I say it is because Geno Smith did. We had this debate. I think last year too. Like, is comeback
What is a comeback?
an injury player, or is he a guy who was irrelevant or stunk who played better? Jimmy was anti Geno, I think, if I recall.
Because I had a bet on.
You could have called him most improved if it's a comeback. I was anti-Geno because what's he coming back from? Never being good. That's not a comeback.
Yeah, see, and I see it that way. I think it's to me like a guy that played 13 games and then got hurt isn't a comeback player the next year. Like what was it, Barkley? They were trying to give the award to. So
yeah, coming back from the dead, I think would qualify.
Yeah, the only thing with that is he played 2 games. Like,
yeah,
they were like token snaps just to say he played in the NFL. But again, I get it. I mean,
well, somebody had a good point because of the way the voting goes this year. Because now you don't only vote for the winner; you vote first, second, third.
Oh, so they could get kind of right.
So the guy said, "Now you're going to have people who are going to vote for Hamlin to win." But the people that don't vote for him
won't vote him second or
are
third.
not going to vote him second or third.
Yeah,
They're just not
that's
going to
true.
vote for him. So that might hurt him.
Yeah. So that was one. I just thought Flacco actually. The fact that it's still close, because you look at Lamar, he's minus 10,000. But the fact that Hamlin's not minus 10,000 tells me that Flacco has a lot of Flacco has steam. So another one was,
and he's only played 5 games. Is that Flacco?
Jason said it. 4.
I mean, he set almost did he set the record? He came close to setting the record for most yards in a month or whatever.
I mean, he has more touchdowns thrown than like 5 teams.
If he played 5 games because he was the 5th quarterback they used. I mean, just looking at the odds real quick. I mean, if Tampa won the South, Mayfield, I think you could have an argument too. He's actually played well at the end of the year. If you're like, well, Hamlin doesn't get it just for a couple plays. He's played the full season as opposed to 5 games. For Flacco, that's not a full set anyway, but he obviously kept a Cleveland team afloat that was thought to be dead once Watson, got hurt for the end of the year. But
yeah, but the only thing is, I think like Mayfield still was in the league last year.
Yeah,
he played for viable teams.
He was, but he got cut. He was the number 1 draft pick, getting cut and put on waivers like in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
he played like on 3 teams last year, and I think he played like every team.
He bounced around,
Right, so that's why.
And he was actually a Pro Bowl player at one point. Flacco was out of the league last year.
Out of the league, right? So, and then another big one is defensive rookie of the year. Carter is now at what, minus? I have it something.
Yeah, he's not
275.
275.
He's not going to win.
He dropped a lot.
You're not going to give that award to a guy on what might be
who hasn't done anything the last 6 weeks.
Right.
I actually had a name.
He only plays half the snaps anyway. He only plays half the snaps regardless.
I have a name there. We probably have the same name.
Same name, but before, what about you guys? Any thoughts? I mean, Jason said it about Carter.
I mean, I have Carter to win, unfortunately, and I don't think he's going to do it. So I hedged with Will Anderson, obviously, for Houston.
How about you, Meeker?
He's second on the odds.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was the name you had, Chalky?
Kobe Turner.
From the Rams.
Leads rookies in sacks. He's 6-1. He's probably going to play this week.
He tied Donald for that rookie record. He has 7 sacks in his last 4 games and 9 overall. So that's another one. Now
they're on a roll going into the playoffs, and if the Eagles give up 30-something points to the Giants, are people going to want to give Carter unless Carter has 4 sacks in the game? I mean,
Yeah, unless Carter has a monster game, I don't think he's winning.
Yeah, the fact he went from minus 700 to minus 250 is.
If you're just looking at pure stats, he got his sack last week because his hand brushed. Was it last week? He barely. No, on the defense thing because they hit what's his name when he was on the ground and tried to cause a fumble because they didn't realize that he got touched. So he's got 1 or 2 of those where it's like a sack, but it's not really anything he did. So if somebody's watching the games, they're going to think even less than just looking at the pure numbers.
But yeah, Kobe Turner was the name I thought too.
And he wasn't even listed until like a couple days ago. He wasn't even
I mean
in
he's
there.
got
I couldn't
7
find his
sacks
name
in,
to bet
in the
on.
last 4
Been the
games,
last
that's why.
month. Yeah.
And then
I actually don't think Offensive Player of the Year is definitely in the bag for McCaffrey either.
Yes, it
Because I
is.
think
Who's winning?
if Hill has a big game and they win
He's
that
not
game
winning.
against Buffalo, there's going to be. I think he's going to get some votes.
CeeDee Lamb is like 50 yards behind him or something.
Yeah, but
he's
he's
fell
no
off.
longer.
Hill's like
He's-
dropped
The
off.
the
big
man's
time.
house
He's
burned
no-
down this week. If he,
Exactly, his house
He
burned
no
down.
longer. No.
That's a big part of it,
No,
Chalky.
we could bet
Oh,
on
house
that
burned down.
like-
That could be a Miami play.
house burned down. And
Anybody
it
die in that-
wasn't a
did
left eye
anybody-
Lopez,
one died.
way either.
Was there
but
any animals die? Was there?
I didn't see
link
any
it to
deaths.
anybody?
No, there was a child playing with a lighter in the house. Apparently, burned it down.
God.
But
What about? I know, Jason, you had thoughts on Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, Stefanski should be the favorite. He shouldn't be as heavy of a favorite as he is. I still think D'Amico Ryans, if they win a division, or even if they get in the playoffs, I mean, that's a team that's won.
Dude, we were on
two
the show.
straight
That
games.
we had them as one of the teams that will be the worst in the league
And
to
they
start
have
the
been
season.
for the last almost 10 years. I mean, now all of a sudden they're a playoff team. So it's going to be, it's going to be tight. I hope it's Ryans because I have a bet on him, and I don't have anything on Stefanski. But you can't deny Stefanski's done an unbelievable job. I think he's a really good coach.
Yeah. All right. Any other awards that I might have missed that you guys saw value in, or wanted to do a quick discussion?
I'm willing to back any Tyreek Hill bet Meeker wants to put on, if you'd like.
Well, put it this way:
Just for entertainment purposes.
His odds are closer to McCaffrey than Will Anderson's are to Jalen Carter.
Okay.
Now, that
Would
doesn't
you
make
like to
sense
bet that Jalen
because
Carter's not going to win?
I'm not going to bet that because I don't think he deserves it, but
Okay.
his odds say that he would win it. So if you always say Vegas knows, then Vegas knows.
Well, I think
don't know about
the
this.
flag is he went from minus 700 to minus 250 in the blink of an eye.
And Vegas doesn't know who people are going to vote on. They know who the better teams are. This is different. Like voting.
All right. Well, I said promised a quicker show, so we might as well jump into our recap and then go into our picks.
All right, so quick recap. Over under. So once again, under was 9 versus over 7 for the year, 54%. So it looks like unless there's a total whitewash this week of overs, which I doubt, it looks like if you bet under in every game this year, you would be a profitable bettor because you're 54% on the year. Over under public 7 and 9. They're still ahead of the game there for the year, 136, 118. But for the spread, public, I mean, it's 8 and 8, so it was not a great week for them, but they're still 56% on the year. So public just knocked it out of the park this year, which we aren't as a podcast. So we'll get to our stats now. Was not a good week for the podcast. I guess I'll start with me. I was 1 and 2. Although I did get, I don't want to cry because it is a loss, but I got one of the worst backdoor beats of the year with the Colts. But there was a loss.
Yeah, I actually thought that game was like I stopped paying attention. I think it was red zone. The Raiders scored. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, there was
that's
so
not
many
good.
things. Like it was 4th and like inches, and he kicks a field goal instead of just ending the game with a first down, and then they come back down and score.
Yeah, I didn't even
And
know all that.
Yeah, it's craziness, but it was a bad loss, but it was a loss. I did win the Broncos against the Chargers, but I lost the Dolphins. That was a pretty bad loss. So 1 and 2. Tommy also 1 and 2. He did hit his best bet with the Giants, but he lost with the Bills, and he also lost with the Dolphins. So Tommy and I, I went back and looked over the 2 years when we have the same pick. Going into that game, we were 16 and 2. So now we're 16 and 3. So we're still 84%, but that was a loss. So Tommy went 1 and 2. Chalky also went 1-2. He lost his best bet with Dallas. He did win with the under in the 49ers and the Commanders, but he lost with the Bucks 1-2. Meeker went 2-1. He also lost with Dallas. And you guys, I went and checked your record together. You are 3-8 when you guys make the same pick over the last 2 years. So that was the same pick. You guys lost. You did have the 49ers Washington as the same pick under, and you won. So you were actually 1-1 last week in that regard. But then Meeker won with the under in the Chiefs Bengals. So he went 2-1.
Somehow. I thought that was an easy over, but apparently Kansas City can only kick field goals nowadays.
Yeah, win's a win, just like a
it
loss
is.
to loss. All right, so best bets, I'm 8-8. I am only 50%. Lifetime, I'm 20-13, 61%. Tommy's 9-8. He's 53%. Lifetime, he's 19-13, 59%.
How did I have one more game than you? You missed.
Push.
I pushed. I don't say
The
end.
put. Yeah. Push.
Chalky's 10-7, 59% on the year, 19-15. Lifetime, 56%. Meeker's 8-8. He also had a push. He's 50%. He's 14-19. Lifetime, 43%. As a podcast for the year, we're 38-31. Best bets, 55%. And we're also 55% lifetime. So our best bets are pretty good. For the year, I am 28-22, profit of $334, 56% win, 7% ROI. Tommy's 24-27, loss of $408, 47% win, loss a negative 8% ROI. Chalky's 23-27, loss of $569, 46% win, negative 11% ROI. Meeker 24-24, loss of $229, 50% win. Excuse me, minus 8% ROI. I think 5%. Sorry, minus 5% ROI. And we're down on the year, guys. We are 105 and 101. We're still positive there, but we're a loss of $425, 51% win, minus 2.1% ROI. All time, I am 61 and 41. Profit of $1,427, 60% win, 14% ROI. Tommy is 52 and 45, $457 profit, 54% win, 5% ROI. Chalky 47 and 56, loss of $1,279, 46% win, minus 12% ROI. Meeker 47 and 52, loss of $942, 47% win, minus 10% ROI. And again, we are now a losing podcast. We are 207 and 194, loss of $344, 52% win, minus 0.9% ROI. So we have a good week this week. We could end positive over the last 2 years.
All right. Well, a little disclaimer. This week is a mess.
This week's a tough week.
You have no idea who's going to play in these games, how long they're going to play, the motivations, etc. With that said, I still put effort into making the picks. So if they win, they win. They lose, they lose. But it is a tough week, so that's a disclaimer for anybody. This is like preseason football in some cases. It is week 18, and I've run out of ideas. I'm tired. So I'm just going to say, Chalky, you're going first.
Last one to sign in tonight goes first. You could have did it that way.
I'm too tired.
There you
Chalky's
go.
first.
All right, best bet is Colts money line. That's even money against the Texans. Second choice is going to be under 35 in the Ravens-Steelers game. That's minus 112. And since it's been a very public year, I'm going to go for perhaps the most public pick of the week, under 30.5 in the Jets-Patriots game, which means it'll be like 6 defensive touchdowns probably scored, but we'll go with that.
Okay, Meeker?
Yeah, just trying to pick games that do matter in some respect. I'm going to take the over in the Dallas-Washington game, over 47, minus 110. This is probably Washington's coach's last game, so maybe I don't know. They ball out for him, score some points, or maybe they don't because he's an awful coach.
Maybe they ball out on defense for him since he's a defensive coach.
Maybe, but maybe not. Detroit is my second bet, -3. It's got some repercussions for Minnesota and a little bit for Detroit, but I think Campbell will play it straight up. I think these guys are going to play most of the game. So that's -120, Chalky? Is that what you say?
122.
122. All right. And I'm going to take a team that I have not taken pretty much in the whole 2 years we've done this podcast, and that's the Saints, -3, -112 against Atlanta.
Welcome to the Saints side, Meeker. I was there a lot this year. Okay. Well, for me, I have actually Washington +13, -110 for reasons of Rivera's last game. Dallas stinks on the road, notorious chokes in big games. So, will Dallas win? Yes, but I do think Washington can keep it close. Second pick, I had Miami and the Jets under 30.5 -110 as well.
Jets Patriots.
What I say, Miami? Yeah, I can't read my writing. Jets Patriots. Yeah, it's one of those when the line's so low, you almost have to take. You have to take the under. I think it was an Iowa game we talked about, and the weather's also gonna be poor. And then my last pick, I'm gonna go with Buffalo Miami over 48.5. Last NFL game of the season, right? It's the Sunday night game. You're going to see some fireworks. I got 48.5 -110.
All right. So my best bet is going to be the Bears +3. I think it's -112, unless that changed. I do not like the Packers in these must-win games. I mean, they almost choked 2 years ago. They choked last year. And I think the Bears have a lot to play for. They're playing well, and the whole thing where the Packers are their daddies and Rodgers.
They also locked up the first pick with the Panthers.
They
the
don't
draft, so
care
it's not
about
like
drafts.
right. That's their second pick.
They don't care. So, I think they could win outright, but I'll take the 3. My second pick will be under in the Bucs-Panthers game, under 37.5. I believe it's -110. Those teams aren't scoring. Mayfield's banged up. The Panthers couldn't score on us if we were, on the defense of the other team. So that'll be low-scoring game. My third pick is going to be the Jets-Patriots under 30.5, -110. I mean, I cannot see them moving the ball at all in that game. I just checked. There's going to be sustained 25-mile-per-hour winds. There's going to be snow. Neither team could move the ball anyway. Neither team could block. Neither team has running backs that can move the ball. Belichick has proven to know, remember that game against the Bills a couple of years ago where the wind was crazy?
Yeah, he ran the ball.
He ran the ball like, I think,
60 times.
Yeah. So that has 10-3 written all over it, that game. So
Is that Belichick's last game ever?
and it's probably Belichick's last game.
His last game as the Patriots coach. He'll be coaching in a much warmer climate next year.
What's your prediction on that?
Chargers.
Where's he coaching? Think he's going the Chargers?
That would be another bad
anyone
hire,
think
but,
any different?
I mean,
I'm not saying it's a great hire, but
yeah,
You need to develop Herbert.
you need an offensive mind for that guy. Like what? And I don't disagree that they're buffoons. I mean, they hired who was the buffoon before the buffoon they have now or the head? What was his name?
Before Staley?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
bad
bad.
coach.
The Bills not Van. He was the.
he was. I'm thinking of the guy that was on the Denver staff. There was another guy in between there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Joseph.
Anthony Lynn.
Anthony Lynn. That's it.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, Belichick's a Navy guy. San Diego's a Navy town. Retire in the warm
Even though it's
weather.
not in San Diego.
Oh, L.A. Yeah,
you
right.
did
Jeez.
it all season.
Sorry, Della Rock at that, but yeah, or maybe Washington. I don't know. I think Harris goes for somebody younger, but
Any picks? Any touchdown guys this week? Or
It's just so hard to know
Tough
in a
one.
week like this. I mean,
I just have a crazy
somebody in the
stat.
Bears.
go for
So, because Tommy, you mentioned Iowa, and Iowa lost their last 2 games of the year, Big Ten championship, and their bowl game. They scored a total of 0 points in both games. And I just happened to look on DraftKings, and there was like 5 minutes left. They had the ball at their own 40. They were down 35 points, and Tennessee, the in-game line for Tennessee was minus 34.5. So I've never seen it before where it's like the other team will not, like it was the exact line as close as you could get without being the exact line of the team in the lead, even that late in the game. And I
they're
never
saying
saw
they're
it
not
before, so
scoring.
that was just, and both games still went under because they were low, but they didn't score.
Speaking of college, how about you guys? Who's the national champion?
I think Alabama should have won that game. I mean, they lost that game, and they shouldn't have.
Wait,
I said I like both dogs.
Wait.
so
Why though? Can elaborate why?
Why did they lose? Why did they almost lose it?
Well, no, they
Why
did. They did
Why
lose
did
it.
they lose it?
Yeah, why
Did you watch
should
it?
have they won? I'm just confused. Why should have they won?
Did you watch it?
I did.
Yeah.
Why you thought Michigan? You thought they played well? They played bad. They lost because they played
They didn't
poorly.
play. They didn't play well. Michigan didn't really play well either. But I think they should have. I mean, they had the lead, and their defense played pretty well the entire game, and gave it up in the last minute and a half of the game, and then of course overtime happened, and that was the end of that. Then they make a play call in overtime where Milroe running right into the line, so I don't know where that play call.
Well,
See,
that was
that
another-
wasn't the
that was
play
a-
call, though.
That was a bad snap, and yeah, the guy was supposed to.
Yeah, the running
flank
back was
out.
wide open in the flat, but he couldn't make the throw because of the snap.
That's what
Well,
there's.
I mean, I didn't hear that. Did that come out? Cause
Yeah, watch that. Well, that's not what the coaches
that-
said or whatever, but I don't know if it
that
was,
the videos were out. Of that.
who called that game?
Herb
Was
Street,
that Herb
and,
Street? I don't know if it was Herb Street or somebody else, but they showed the video. The back breaks out, and he's got clear as day, and like he's looking back for the ball, and you see as Milroe has to pick it up and run, he's like throwing his hands up, like if that was a design play, like why would he be, So it was a reaction. I guess it was an RPO, but that wasn't the first call. The run up the middle. It was the way he reacted to the bad.
I
snap.
still just don't understand why they should have won the game. It's not like the Dallas Dietrich game where it was the referee.
Well, I mean, it
was
wasn't
the reason.
nothing blatant like that. I understand what you're saying, but I think they had the game won. Their defense was playing well, and they gave it up in the end. I mean, I
You
think
know
they
why they should have won? I know why. Because Meeker bet them. Right, Meeker?
that has nothing to do with it.
Okay, right.
That has nothing to do with it.
Sure.
Anyway, neither here nor there. I mean, I had both dogs. I think Washington is a really good offensive team. Defensively, you got to worry about it. But Penix, he should have won the Heisman. That's neither here nor there, but he should have won the Heisman. But I think this is going to be a really good national championship game. I think there's going to be points scored, but I think Washington is slightly better than Michigan, and I think they win.
Yeah, why is Michigan giving 4.5 though? That doesn't scare you.
No, not at all.
Chalky.
That's great.
thoughts
I think
on
that's a
national
little bit of a liability balance because if Michigan was lower, they would get hammered even more. I want Washington to win, and since I was wrong both times last week, I'll pick Michigan.
You think they will win the game, or you're just saying you're picking them because you were wrong?
I'm picking them because I was wrong. I don't have a strong opinion, so I'm going to pick Michigan.
Right now, the public is hammering Washington.
Right. I'm not surprised. All right. Episode 88 of Broad Street Hustle. Under an hour to finish off the NFL season. Have a great night.